Welcome to this episode. In ancient Africa, there was a profound vision for how society should be organized, governed, and balanced. This vision was encapsulated in the concept of Ma'at, a system that governed not just the political and social realms, but also the moral and spiritual dimensions of life. Ma'at was far more than a mere legal or ethical code. It was an ancient African blueprint for society, offering a model that could guide human civilization towards harmony, justice, and prosperity. Unfortunately, this ancient vision was shattered by foreign invaders who sought to dismantle African societies and replace them with foreign ideologies and systems. In the wake of this disruption, the world has struggled with inequality, corruption, and conflict. But the principles of Ma'at, justice, balance, truth, and harmony, remain as relevant today as they were millennia ago. It is not too late to embrace Ma'at once more and use it as the foundation for a better world. Ma'at was a concept so integral to the life of ancient Egypt that it was embodied by the goddess Ma'at herself. She was the embodiment of truth, balance, order, and justice. The ancient Egyptians believed that Ma'at was the divine force that ensured the harmony of the universe, the stability of the state, and the prosperity of individuals. Pharaohs, as the earthly representatives of the gods, were expected to rule in accordance with Ma'at. Their duty was to uphold the laws of justice and balance, ensuring that all of Egypt's people, from the highest nobility to the humblest farmers, were treated fairly and with respect. This ancient African principle of justice extended beyond mere political power and into the heart of society, where it dictated how people should interact with one another, ensuring that peace and harmony prevailed. The influence of Ma'at extended across the African continent. In the kingdoms of Nubia, the Yoruba, the Mali Empire, and beyond, the principles of justice, truth, and balance were central to governance and daily life. It is no surprise that this vision of society, with its emphasis on truth and fairness, was seen as a way forward for Africa, one that prioritized collective well-being and communal prosperity. In fact, Ma'at was the central force behind the African worldview, influencing everything from family structures to political systems, from cultural practices to the spiritual life of the people. But this idealistic system of governance and society was not to last. In the face of foreign invasions, imperialism, and colonialism, Ma'at was dismantled. The arrival of foreign powers, from the Greeks and Romans to the Arabs and eventually the Europeans, altered the course of African history. These invaders brought with them their own systems of governance, often based on conquest, exploitation, and division. The African systems of justice and communal living that had flourished under the influence of Ma'at were systematically destroyed. The very fabric of African societies was ripped apart, and the consequences of this destruction are still felt today. One of the greatest blows to Ma'at came during the transatlantic slave trade, where millions of Africans were forcibly removed from their homeland, uprooted from their ancestral land, and subjected to unimaginable suffering. This brutal system of dehumanization and exploitation was in stark contrast to the principles of justice and balance that Ma'at embodied. For centuries, Africa and its people were subjected to violence, oppression, and colonial rule that ignored the very essence of what Ma'at stood for. Under colonial rule, African nations were divided, and their resources plundered, their people oppressed, and their cultures erased. The once thriving African civilizations, with their systems of justice, balance, and harmony, were disrupted and replaced by the divisive and exploitative systems of the invaders. What would the world have looked like had the principles of Ma'at been upheld? Had the ancient African blueprint for society been preserved and allowed to flourish, we might have seen a world governed by justice, balance, and respect for all life. The hierarchical divisions that characterize modern societies, based on race, class, and wealth, might not have emerged. Instead, we could have seen systems of governance that prioritize the common good over individual gain. The principles of Ma'at encourage cooperation, collective responsibility, and the idea that each person plays a vital role in the well-being of society as a whole. Had these principles been allowed to thrive, the world might have been built on solidarity, mutual respect, and equality, where the natural environment was protected and people lived in harmony with the earth. The consequences of Ma'at's destruction are evident in the world today. The rise of inequality, environmental degradation, and social unrest can be traced back to the systems of governance that were imposed upon African societies and, by extension, the world. The capitalist economic system, with its emphasis on competition and innovation, has driven remarkable progress. However, its tendency to prioritize profit over people can create imbalances that conflict with the values of Ma'at, which emphasize harmony, justice, and the collective good. By implementing thoughtful regulations and addressing excesses, capitalism can be guided toward a more balanced model that aligns with Ma'at's principles, ensuring innovation thrives while protecting the well-being of all. The colonial systems of division and exploitation have left a lasting legacy of racial and social injustice. The fragmentation of African societies, the destruction of their cultures, and the imposition of foreign ideologies have contributed to the world's present state of chaos and imbalance. As the world grapples with these issues that have their roots in the disruption of Ma'at, we must ask ourselves if it is too late to return to this ancient African blueprint for society. It is not too late. The values of Ma'at, truth, justice, balance, and harmony, are timeless. They are as relevant today as they were in the days of ancient Egypt. In fact, they are more relevant than ever as the world faces unprecedented challenges, from climate change to social inequality, from political corruption to racial injustice. The principles of Ma'at offer a blueprint for a world that can heal, a world that can move beyond its current state of division and conflict. As individuals and communities, we can begin to embrace the teachings of Ma'at. We can strive for justice, not just in our legal systems, but in our personal lives. We can seek balance, not just in our physical surroundings, but in our relationships with one another. We can pursue truth, not just as a lofty ideal, but as a practical guide for how we live and interact with the world. The wisdom of Ma'at can serve as a compass for our actions, guiding us toward a world that is not only more just and equitable, but also more connected and harmonious. On a larger scale, governments and institutions around the world can look to the principles of Ma'at as a model for governance and societal organization. Instead of systems that prioritize profit, power, and division, we can create systems that prioritize the common good, the well-being of the planet, and the upliftment of all people. Ma'at's focus on truth, justice, and balance offers an antidote to the corruption and inequality that pervades so many societies today. It offers a way forward, a way to rebuild societies that are rooted in fairness, respect, and shared responsibility. In conclusion, the ancient African vision of Ma'at provides us with a profound model for how we might live together in peace, harmony, and prosperity. It is a model that prioritizes balance over excess, truth over lies, and justice over exploitation. While the disruptions of foreign invaders may have torn this vision apart in the past, it is not too late to revive it. The principles of Ma'at remain relevant today and offer a path toward healing the divisions, imbalances, and injustices that plague the world. It is time for us to look to the wisdom of our ancestors and re-embrace the ancient blueprint for society that they left behind. By doing so, we can create a world that reflects the timeless values of Ma'at: justice, balance, truth, and harmony, and build a future that honors the legacy of our African roots. Thanks for watching this episode. Do remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and look out for the next one on Africa's great civilizations.